What's up, everybody? This is Logan Hanks with the Living Fully Loaded podcast. I'm joined today with my good buddy, Jacob Chandler. Jacob, what's going on?
Man, just glad to be here, man.
I hear you. Before we get in, I got to run down real quick. Got to go to wildertactical.com and get you a belt. I've shown it before some, but it's all American made, veteran owned, and you can get 10% off. They got, aside from the 10% off, I mean, I like American made stuff. That like means something to me.
Oh, yeah.
But they got mag pouches, medical pouches, and universal mags like pistols, AK, AR, all the things, and tourniquet pouches, and they're always coming out with more. So check that out, wildertactical.com. 10% off using the code LOGAH and the number 10. And then, newest one is Duke Cannon, paired up with them. And you can go on their website, dukecannon.com. And I actually sipping a little Buffalo Trace bourbon. And they got a bourbon soap that I use, and it's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
So go on there, and you can save 10% on that using the code BBLOADED, all one word, just the letter B, loaded, one word, 10% off. And also use the beard wash. It's called Best Damn Beard Wash, and so it's pretty good. So
is it gunpowder scented to go with the bourbon
they
soap?
probably have that.
That's a good combination.
Yeah,
man.
they have some awesome name. One of them is called Naval Diplomacy. The names are awesome. Illegally Cut Pine is like one of them. So, but it sold me when I saw the bourbon one. I was like, oh, yeah. Man, that's what I got to have. So, check those out, and it helps me when you do that as well. So, there you go. Now we're going to dive in. So, Jacob, I like to warm up with the general questions. So, scoot your mic a little closer there.
There we go.
Just where you can kind of talk into it. All right. The first one, you got to give up one of three: burgers, pizza, or tacos.
Well, it's definitely not gonna be burgers. We have a long relationship, and it's gonna be hard to come between that. I think I'd have to say tacos, because pizza's another one. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, I don't care. Cold, straight out of the refrigerator.
Always can eat some pizza.
Always down for pizza. Jamie doesn't want to cook at night. Just order pizza.
It is that is one of the things with pizza. It is like probably the easiest universal
it's the ultimate
thing.
Convenience food.
Yeah. I don't know if y'all are this way with a frozen pizza. I like to get a frozen pizza, but then doctor it up.
Yeah.
Man, I put like some ground beef and extra pepperonis.
The thing I like about the frozen pizzas is that you can, cut it into 4 pieces. That way you don't feel so fat.
Yeah.
I just had 2 pieces of pizza, right?
Yeah.
It's not like eating 6 out of a large. So
there you go.
That's one of my favorite things about it.
You kind of cheat the system there
exactly.
a little bit. That's the way you got to do it. All right. You got to watch one movie for 24 hours. What are you watching?
Oh, man. So this one, I've listened to your show before, and there's always a lot of Braveheart and a lot of Tombstone. And
yeah.
Love those movies and wouldn't have a problem in the world watching those movies all day long.
I'm excited now. What's coming?
It's hard for me to choose, but I think probably now one movie that I can watch anytime it's on, anytime it comes on, flipping through the channels, I've got to stop every time, is Fifth Element.
That is I do love
absolutely love that movie.
Yeah.
But I think I would have to go with Snatch. I don't know if
That's
you've
a
ever,
good one.
you
Yeah,
ever
with
seen
Brad
Snatch.
Pitt.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Something about it, man. It's a great movie.
That is. I've actually probably only watched it about 2 times, but and you can't forget Brad Pitt in that because of the way he talks.
Oh yeah, you love it. Just a dirty. You can actually smell him through the TV screen. But that whole dirty shanty Irish gypsy accent that he's got, and he plays it so well.
He does, yeah. That's not a role women typically are after him with.
No.
You don't ever see them sharing stuff about him in Snatch.
I don't know what it is. That's one of my favorite roles that he's played.
That's a good one. Now you did bring up though The Fifth Element. I love that movie.
Oh yeah,
that one is. And which that movie made me love Mila Jovovich or whatever.
Oh
her name
yeah,
is. I mean,
yeah. That was before she kind of got into the whole Resident Evil franchise.
Yeah.
Which was great the first couple of times, but the next 27, not so much.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's just so much good about that movie from Gary Oldman. I mean,
you won't even recognize him.
No, you don't at all. Like I can't remember who it was that I thought it was for so long until I watched the credits. I'm like, that's Gary Oldman?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that was Bruce Willis's breakout role?
I mean, I think you have to count Die Hard as a breakout.
Did it come before Fifth Element?
Yeah, Fifth Element was in the late 90s,
was it
early 2000s,
really?
I think. Yeah.
Man, I thought it was older than that.
I'm pretty sure Die Hard was like 83
yeah,
or something
it was.
like that.
I thought Fifth Element was like, oh, that's true, yeah. So Die Hard definitely did come before,
Yeah.
but man, dang, I didn't realize Fifth Element came out I was thinking it was like early 90s, but
Get as old as we are,
time just molds into them like
big ball.
Yeah, I forget what day of the week it is. All right, they're gonna make a movie about your life. Who is gonna play you?
Do they have to be still alive, or can we play?
No, you can
pretend a little bit.
Yeah, you could have anybody.
I'm gonna go with Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Okay.
Just something about maybe I'm a little bit better looking than he is, I like to think, but just something about the role that he plays and his attitude, the way he carries himself on screen. I think he could pull it off.
And wasn't he redheaded?
Yeah. Oh,
there
yeah. He was part of the Ginger Club.
Yeah. So he had no soul.
Exactly. No, that's not true. I've got a whole sock drawer full of them.
All right, I like that. Philip Seymour Hoffman. Man, he's been dead a while. Now that I think about it.
Yeah, no, he has. That man. Those hardcore drugs take the good ones pretty quick. They do.
Yeah, him and like Chris Farley.
Chris Farley. Oh man.
I think about what Chris would do if he was still, man. I mean, that guy was freaking hilarious. And
he was great.
Yeah, it always is, like, say, the best ones. So, all right, Jacob, we're going to dive in. We're going to kind of, this episode's going to be a very politic-heavy episode.
I can't imagine that at all.
Now, Jacob and I, we pretty well know where each other stands, and that's what I didn't have him on here to, like, argue, but I wanted to talk because he knows especially all things libertarian, and so I wanted to help share the message of the libertarian because, and I tell you, I was actually disappointed because I wanted to see Joe get the 5%.
Yeah. We were all disappointed, but at the same time, if you look at the total vote count, she didn't do, nearly as bad as the percentage looked. Compared to 2016.
How many votes did she get?
Off the top of my head, I haven't even, I quit looking at the numbers probably Wednesday night, but she was running pretty close with Gary Johnson in 2016 when I quit paying attention. But I think she was a victim of just insane voter turnout.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was like record numbers, I guess.
Never
on everything.
Seen turnout the way that it showed up.
Yeah.
During this election.
And Kanye was stealing the votes. I mean,
there's a lot of vote stealing going on, apparently. I've been told by numerous people that, my vote, apparently I voted for Biden, Trump, and Joe Jorgensen when I voted, because that's what I heard all leading up to the election. Just a vote for her is a vote for him. And
depending on which side they're on.
Voting for all three. Just don't come arrest me for it.
Yeah, well, that's what I had hoped, and that's what I was actually listening to Joe Rogan, and he talked about. He said he voted for Joe in California, and he said, and he brought up a good point and something that I kind of wish I had thought about too. He was like, in a state, especially where he knew, like he said, I voted in California. He said, I knew that freaking state was going blue. He said, so he was like, I voted for Joe because he said I'd like to see him be able to debate.
Right, exactly.
And that's what. If somebody is like on the fence about doing it, what is your state going to do? If your state, in Tennessee, you could safely vote for Joe.
Absolutely. And that was, that was the thing that when I was out canvassing and getting petition signatures to get her on the ballot in Tennessee, out doing all of that. That was one of the biggest points that, that we try to make. Tennessee's going red. There's literally nothing you can do about that. So, what's it going to hurt? If you're on the fence, what's it going to hurt?
Yeah.
Don't settle for lesser of two evils, stop settling. And a lot of people were really receptive to that. I mean, when you break it down that way, the numbers for Trump in Tennessee were just
he won
outrageous.
What was it, like 63 or something? It was a blowout.
Absurd. So, but, it is the thing with the Libertarian Party. I mean, they've been around, in a big way since the 70s, but have never really gotten that big stage. And I think this year, you always hear it every 4 years. It's the most important election of our time, of our lifetime, until the next one.
Yeah.
But I think this year the message really got out a lot more because the two candidates were so polarizing and divisive, and a lot of people kind of came looking for something else. Yeah. And so I look forward to the next 4 years of local and state elections and seeing the party kind of grow. Yeah. From the bottom up.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I think, like you say, that's one of the things that I think drew people to that is, and why it probably hasn't picked up the traction back in the day, because the parties, your Democrats back, anybody that's listened to the show knows that I am a pretty solid right-wing man, but you can safely say a Democrat in the 60s and 70s, like John F. Kennedy would be a Republican.
JFK would absolutely be a Republican.
It's just crazy how, and I mean Republicans have done it too. We've gone super far right and super far left.
Yeah.
And there is no, and one of my farming magazines that I got, it had a thing on there and it was will the middle matter? And that's what, it's just, man, it's crazy.
And, it's funny you bring up JFK, too, because I think that's kind of where a lot of this, where we are today, started.
Yeah.
I think JFK was the last firmly planted in the middle president that we've probably elected in this country. And then when he got assassinated and LBJ steps in, LBJ put just about everything that's going on today into motion. Yeah. Single-handedly. So, yeah. And there's an argument to be made that it was, on purpose. Yeah. But we're not going to, this isn't the Alex Jones show, so we're not gonna get into that. He was on Joe Rogan recently, though.
Did you see that? Yes. No, hey, I do think they're putting stuff in the water that's turning the frogs gay.
I joke with people all the time. That's about the only thing thus far that Alex Jones has really been wrong about. I think as time goes on, he's hit everything else kind of on the head except for the gay frogs. Yeah. Who knows? I haven't asked them lately.
I was going to say, they might be.
Yeah. But if they are, hey, that's on them. I'm a libertarian. I don't care.
Well, and you ain't going to bother me with the Alex Jones stuff. I
love the guy.
And I go down some conspiracy holes too, which, it's hard not to when things get solidified.
Oh, yeah.
All right, where we're at right now. Okay. This is my frustration. Let me tell you my frustration with the election right now.
All right.
Biden, one, I'm annoyed. I voted for Trump. But, and I can tell you, as a farmer, I've done well. The tax stuff has done good for me. And some guys you got a payment or something. But I'm but that literally was I think people get a misperception or a false perception of how it ain't like I'm loading my pockets with cash. That little payment. Well, for one, I'm a small farmer. It's not like I'm getting very much money anyways. But it's basically just to try to keep your head above water with the prices down. And so that's a whole nother tangent I can get on. But I voted for Trump, and because things have done well for me under Trump, and I've been sick and tired of the liberal crap, and he is a giant middle finger to all of that.
Absolutely.
So I have enjoyed that. And like when they cried on the 2016 night of election, I have not been that happy in a long time. Like, I still enjoy seeing the meme of that woman like just
I actually shared that meme today. It holds up well.
It does. I love that. And so but I'm annoyed because it's still not over.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's not even close.
And I know that they're like it's not the same as Gore and Bush, but
no, it's not.
It's similar in ways that, like, all right, it was like 37 days.
Oh yeah.
Before that, Gore actually had won. Mm-hmm. He was technically president-elect.
Oh yeah.
And then got it pretty much taken away from him. Now, where this becomes a problem with where we're at now, for me, is this. And I saw today where some of the channel, Real Clear Politics, and some other ones actually pulled Pennsylvania away from Biden.
Yeah, I did see that.
Seeing it on the thing I looked at, it actually knocked him like below the threshold that he needs.
Yeah.
But I kind of done the same, quit looking.
Yeah.
But now the backlash, let's say all this stuff comes out, votes get thrown out, and Trump wins. The only thing that they've done now is going to create an insane amount of backlash.
It's going to be ugly. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it was going to be ugly regardless. If Trump won a second term, I have no doubt that things would have gone south really quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think you're absolutely right. Like, if it turns out that his court cases go through and the recounts, change the outcome. Oh yeah, it's I think the overall faith in the electoral process in this country is kind of just standing on a razor's edge right now. And really, no matter which way it falls, there's gonna be something bad happen.
Yeah. Well, and that's what the bad thing is. I mean, from what I'm seeing, it looks pretty clear to me that there was cheating. Like, to me, and I'll tell you even a basic thing. When I see the guy, like, do you see the dude holding up the thing, blocking the observers from being able to see?
Now, see, that's uncalled for. Absolutely illegal, unacceptable.
Yeah, and not letting an observer watch is a pretty big red flag to me, because it's like, what difference does it make if the observer watches? If you're not doing anything wrong, who cares?
What does it matter?
That's like the old thing, like, the guys that are like, won't let their woman see their phone. It's like, what you hiding on your phone? Like, Marcy knows my code. She can look on my phone anytime. Yeah. And I mean, she'll see a lot of stupid and offensive memes, but that's about it. So, like, that's what I think about with the poll watchers. Yeah. That, to me, is a red flag.
Yeah. And even if you take out the whole, the mail-in ballots and were they falsified or were they not postmarked, any of that, even if you take that out, to me, I think the biggest question is all of the states that changed their rules. Yeah. Did they do it the right way? Yeah. And I think that's, at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, I think that's what it's going to come down to. Yeah. Is, I mean, it's not mail-in votes. It's not, people miscounting at the polls, but did they actually go through the right process, the legal process of changing their election rules? Yeah. Because, constitutionally, each state sets their own election laws, and each state is responsible for handling the election individually, and there's really no federal control or uniform standard from the top down. And you've got these states that are changing rules by executive order or by judicial decision, and those may or may not hold up in court. Yeah. So we'll see. It's an interesting situation for sure. I mean,
it is.
And either way it goes, like I think we're in agreement. Either way it goes, it's not going to be a fun time.
If it goes to let's say there's nothing there, and Trump loses or whatever, like I'll be bummed out, and I'll be like, man, can't believe that many people vote for Biden. But I'll be, you know what? But if they can prove it's done fair and stuff, I'm not gonna cry about it.
No, I mean,
I'll just be like, okay, we just
get up, go to work.
Yeah, gonna
live my life.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't tax me to death, and I'm just gonna keep doing my thing.
They're gonna tax you to death. You don't have to worry about that.
Yeah,
either side's gonna do that. I was having a conversation with a buddy of mine the other day about it. It's like, well, the Democrats are gonna raise our taxes. I'm like, well, if we're being honest, over the last 4 years, we've added roughly $6.5 trillion to the national debt in 4 years. If you didn't expect your taxes to go up, you're kind of, you're not paying attention.
Yeah.
So,
man, the national debt is a lost cause. It's just not gonna. I don't even know what you even do now.
I mean, there's enough.
It'd probably be the equivalent of us like running up like $1 million on a credit card.
Probably more than that. I mean, honestly, I can't remember the exact number. If you break it down not even per taxpayer, but per American citizen, like it's a just ridiculous number. I think the last stimulus, if you broke it down per individual in America, like per Social Security number, not even taxpayer, not even working age, it was something like $168,000 per person.
Sweet.
So I'm like, my 9-month-old now just in 9 months owes the government $168,000.
Yeah. Jeez. Well, and two, what we were saying too, though, the bad thing is this is why it really frustrates me if the Democrats cheated in the poll, because the integrity of the election is gone.
Yeah.
And, and the bad thing is we've heard in the past where like dead people would vote.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's been a joke forever. It's like Grandpa died. He was a Republican his whole life. Voted Democrat day after he died. Like, so.
And it happens every year. Every year it happens.
So, I mean, something I think needs to happen, because if there's nothing else that you can that we can have and actually trust in the government, it ought to be the gosh darn election, man.
We're the largest democracy on the planet, and here we are a week now after the election, and we still don't have a clear winner. I mean, what does that say about our entire system to the world?
Yeah.
It's, I don't know. The like you said, the integrity of the whole process, the integrity of the media and the pollsters. I mean, there is none left.
No.
At all. This is 2 presidential elections in a row.
They were freaking bad.
They were so wrong. Like, not even close.
They ought to be fired.
They should, all of them.
I mean, just
every single one of them.
Yeah. And it's funny too. Have you seen the flip in Fox News?
I have. Me and Jamie were talking about that while we were eating dinner tonight. It's weird. It's really strange.
It is
really, really strange.
It's blatant.
Yeah.
That's what I was talking to my buddy Luke, and I was like, all right, I get if somebody buys Disney. I think Disney bought Fox News. Yeah. So I get it if somebody buys the place and they want you to slowly, you would think they would want you to slowly poison the water.
Right, yeah.
Instead they're like, let's just come out the gate and just piss off all of our viewers.
Well, I mean, and I think it's kind of the same idea as just, I guess, Donald Trump's overall personality. He came out and he says crazy things like, I could shoot somebody in Times Square and not lose a vote. And he's not wrong. And that's, I mean, and Fox News is kind of the same way. It's we're just going to say what we want to say and, whatever.
But I don't know, man. Have you seen their ratings?
Their ratings have tanked, but they'll be back.
You think so?
One thing, so I know, and I don't going to preface this. I don't want anybody to get offended, this day and time. But if you've noticed anything about Republicans versus the Democrats when it comes to stuff like this, the attention span of the Republicans is way shorter than that of the Democrats. You know, the right, we're gonna boycott. We're not gonna do this for 2 or 3 days, and then we're right back.
Yeah.
The left, once they write you off, you might as well, you know.
Oh yeah, you might as well.
You might as well just cash in and you know, get out of town. But I think it'll come back. I mean, people like Hannity, and you know,
Tucker Carlson is still.
Hannity's run his course. I think Hannity needs to go. He's gone kind of the way of Glenn Beck back in the day.
Yeah.
Just, it reminds me of I can't even remember his name, on V for Vendetta, when the guy comes up on the screen and he's just talking to everybody. That's Sean Hannity to me.
Yeah.
And, you know, before him, it was Glenn Beck. But Tucker Carlson really, I don't know how I feel about the guy. Some days he's spot on. And I can agree with a lot of the things that he says, because he a lot of times is neutral and you know, doesn't really lean
how dare you
too heavily, you know, one side. But sometimes he's like nails on a chalkboard to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought it was hilarious the night when he was making fun of Joe Biden's speeches. Did you see that one?
When he was like,
I died.
That was awesome.
This is one of the funniest things that I've ever seen in my life. But I try to stay away from news outlets like that. I mean, as much as possible. I mean, there's not one in existence that doesn't slant.
Well, that's what I was going to say. That's the unfortunate thing, is where I want an unbiased one. Yeah. Like, again, I said I'm a right-wing guy, but I don't want to watch just right-wing news. I want to actually know what the hell is actual news.
Right. Well, I mean, because you are smart enough to know that it is slanted and that you are only getting half of the story.
Yep.
And I just wish more people could realize that. Yeah. You know, if I'm going to look at something, I tend to go to like BBC, which is still, it's left leaning, but it's kind of an outsider perspective. Yeah. So it's a little more neutral than any of the ones here, you know.
Yeah, it's no CNN.
Yeah, CNN, they're a joke. Like that's not even news. That's just it's like Weekend Update on Saturday Night Live. Yes. It's a farce. Isn't that what it is?
Is that what Rachel Maddow is on? Is she on CNN?
I think she is. Yeah, she was. I think she was on MSNBC.
Okay, well,
she's one of those. I mean, they're the same.
They're supposed to be they're supposed to be the news. Mm-hmm. And the night of the election, they had the guy up there, and he was like, "Trump can still win," and he was like explaining how, and she goes, "Oh God, like please no." And I'm
they
like,
don't even try to hide it.
No, it's like that's what Have you ever seen the guy? He does. He's got a YouTube channel, and it is hilarious. I think his name is Mark something, but Mark Dice. It's something like that. But he would go around and he would actually, when Hillary and Trump were running against each other, he went on the streets and he would ask, like, it was college kids.
Oh yeah,
and he'd be like, Hillary Clinton wants to make machine guns legal for everyone to buy. And he'd be like, what do you think about that? And they'd be like, well, I think that's a good idea. You know what I mean? And he could be like,
kind of like Jesse Waters.
Yes.
Waters World.
It's like that.
Yeah.
But Mark Dice, he tripped me out the other night. I was watching. he like roasts some liberals on there. And, he was talking about Rachel Maddow and it was talking about that. And he goes, Richard Maddow, because you ever he goes, here's Richard Maddow.
Oh, man. Oh, that's funny.
But anyways, man, yeah. And I've seen this, Newsmax now is rising up, pretty much trying to take where Fox News was, I guess.
Yeah. And they're actually, from what I've seen, they're way further right than Fox ever was, if you can imagine that.
I've not really watched them.
I've read some of their articles, and I mean,
sweet. I need to start reading them.
There you go. That's the one for you, man. But no, it's the whole thing is, I don't know. It's suspicious. It feels wrong. Yeah. Like nothing about it feels right. I mean, a month ago during the last debates, after the debates, Trump comes out, or on the debate, Trump comes out and says, oh, we'll probably have a vaccine for COVID by early November.
Yeah.
And just got eviscerated by the media after he said that. Like, how dare he make that claim? Like, he's not a doctor, you know. Like,
yeah.
And now here we are, had front page news this morning. We've got a vaccine that's 90% effective.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, really, all of a sudden, you know?
And that's one of the things with Trump that you gotta give the guy some credit. Generally, like, he spouts off a lot.
Oh, he talks out of both ends.
He does, but you know, a lot of times the crap he says comes to fruition.
I mean, he's, you know, I think me and you had this conversation. Like, you know, I didn't vote for Trump.
Yeah.
But I wanted Trump to win.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if nothing else, just to watch him troll everybody for another 4 years.
That's the troll king.
That's what I've loved the most about his presidency, is he's just the ultimate troll. And he lives rent-free in so many people's minds. Like, it's I've never seen somebody get under people's skin the way that he does, and for nothing.
That's what
nothing at all.
Like he could not even tweet, and he would still blow people's minds. Like, there would still be, and that's what I actually kind of debated this with a guy that's pretty far left, because he was like making fun of the Republicans for wanting to investigate the election. And I'm like, wow, like
the irony.
Yes, it's like you. And I told him, I said, dude, y'all have spent the last 4 years,
4 entire years with no breaks.
No breaks. I want to know how much tax dollars was spent investigating him. Trump, if he farted sideways, they started up like an investigation.
They did.
Man, I mean, like, it's like, what? And so that was why, I was even trying my hand at trolling some with, but when they declared him the president-elect, because he's not, but when the media declared him, I was like, so when do we start rioting? And I'm going to say, and I was like, and I'm going to use the hashtag not my president. And when's the impeachment process going to begin? Like,
I mean, why? I mean, why not?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, at this point,
I want to, but you know, like, that's where you got to be the better person, I guess, and not do it. But it's just,
it's hard.
It is hard.
It's hard not to. I mean, at some point, you know, I think it's a disgrace to the office of president what's happened. You know, I don't agree with a lot of the things that Trump says. I don't agree. While I enjoy his trolling, I think it's beneath the office, you know. And but it's kind of sickening to watch it, you know, because
the media has been geared against him from the get-go. Like, that's what part of me understands why he does what he does.
Oh, yeah.
Because literally from the day he won, the media has been ripping him to shreds.
And it's just progressively.
He thrives in that.
He does. He's a narcissist.
Yeah.
And he loves it. Any attention is good attention.
Yeah.
In his mind.
And they can't figure that out.
No.
Like, the more they attack him, he's like, I'm growing more power. Like, you know, it's like
he feeds on it. He does. He feeds on it, and he's like Hulk. You know, he just it's crazy. Never thought I would see somebody like Donald Trump be president of the United States, though.
No.
Reality show, you know, just real estate mogul. I think we've talked about it before. Kind of reminds me of Idiocracy. You know,
yes.
Which I'd go for a President Terry Crews about now. So
dang it, man. Did you see what Terry, you know, he's a Republican.
Yeah.
Or right wing, whatever. But they got to him. Did you see it?
No.
Because he's been going pretty strong, telling people, like, not to follow the media and a lot. Man, he tweeted the other day, and he was like, congratulations to President-elect Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and all this. And even in the comments, some people were like, oh, man, Terry, they got to you, man.
I think at some point, though, people just have to save their careers.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's unfortunate that it's like that. You know, if you disagree with us politically, then we're going to destroy you. And that's kind of the hallmark of the left.
Yeah. Well, yeah, now they're making lists. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did. I saw that, and that's not the first time I've seen something, seen it. That's what they do.
Yeah.
If you don't toe the line, then they kick you out.
Yeah.
And ruin everything about your life.
Yeah.
And that's, it's ironic because that's, well, kids, that's fascism.
Yeah.
That's that's the very definition of fascism. And we're walking around in our grandma's Antifa sweatshirts, living in mom's basement and
never paid taxes,
burning down cities because our feelings got hurt. And yeah, you're a fascist. I hate to break it to you.
Yeah. Well, and man, I don't know. And I've seen the quote going around. The thing about AOC. Yeah, I hate to even utter the three letters. She is such an idiot. And the thing that I have to say about that, she's an idiot, and the people that voted for her even dumber than her. That's what I'm like, gosh, man, how many idiots are out there? And but doing crap like that, me and we're in Tipton County, out here in West Tennessee.
It's God's country. God's country,
man. But there are some rowdy folks out here. They're they like to make fun of the rednecks. Mm. Those rednecks they make fun of, a lot of them are probably former military.
Oh yeah, they're not the people that you want to be against you.
No,
if
no, they probably machine guns are illegal. They probably got a few of them.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't buy them. I mean, something about drilling a hole. I don't know. I don't condone any of that. But yeah, we're the people out, and you see the meme of the country with a couple of blue spots and all the rest is red, and land doesn't vote, people do. Well, if you really want to break it down, it is the land that's voting.
Yeah.
We're not making any more of it.
Yep.
And the people that live in that red own a lot of it.
Yeah.
And that's the ultimate power.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, that's the ultimate power.
Yeah.
That's the biggest, most valuable commodity in the world, and we own it.
Yeah.
And we have the means to protect it from, some skinny jeans wearing little dude with green and blue hair that,
When did they get so tough? I blame the internet. Because and I know you've seen the meme where it's the internet has created too many people that have gotten used to saying anything and not getting punched in the mouth. Even look, when I started this podcast, I experienced my share of that. The people that did that, and I'm just man, all I wanted to do was punch them in the mouth. And then it's you talk to people and it's you're a grown man. You don't go around just punching people in the mouth. And but a part of me is you know what? Some of that's missing from our society.
It definitely helps to shape you into I think a more well-rounded adult. Because, being an adult is all about boundaries. And if you don't get punched in the jaw at least one time, then you're missing an entire set of boundaries.
Yeah.
And you just don't come back from that.
No. No, and that's why it just trips me out. Like you said, the skinny blue-haired kid that's talking about they're gonna take over and all this stuff. And that's when I was telling a buddy of mine, there's guys that some of them I've met since I started doing the podcast. Some of them I never would have had the opportunity to meet until I did it. And they're some special ops guys that are retired. They're some serious throat slitters, and they're sitting on ready.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and a lot of them are watching. It's what are they? And so that's when I see AOC make some remark about we're going to make a list of these people, I'm and I don't want people to think I'm talking about myself. I'm not saying I'm this hard dude that is doing this. There's some guys that would slit my throat while I'm sleeping. Some dudes, and that's the ones you don't provoke.
You don't, and those are the ones that are quiet. Those are the ones that aren't out there talking,
yes,
making a big deal, and a lot of them are libertarians. Just so you know, we have a good sized standing army, just in case we ever need it. But those guys are about. I think the basis of libertarianism is leave me alone and let me live my life.
Yeah,
and that's kind of the whole idea of the way we live our lives here. In the South, rednecks and hillbillies and all of this, but just want to live our lives and be left alone. Not tell me, oh no, you can only go to the bathroom between 2 and 4 o'clock on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we don't need that. As people, we don't need that. And both sides of the aisle are moving progressively more towards that. I mean, well, sorry.
Sorry, no, go ahead.
I was having a conversation. Well, I wouldn't exactly call it a conversation. The other day, one of my buddies, he pops up about every 4 years to start throwing out propaganda about elections and all the bad things that are going to happen if.
Why are you going to talk about me like this?
The Republicans win, So no, not you this time. We might get there, but and he made a comment the other day, and it was something along the lines of what you said about, all you people out here complaining that they're cheating, just need to shut up and accept the vote. And I'm like, and I said the same thing, like, didn't you guys spend the last 4 years doing exactly that?
Yeah.
And out of nowhere, this psychopath comes into the comment section and just starts attacking what I said, attacking me.
You just commented that in there?
Yeah, and this guy's a good friend of mine. Like, we go way back. I knew, I was poking fun at him. He knew I was poking fun at him.
Yeah.
And it would have never gone anywhere from there. But this person just started coming and raging on me. I mean, like, what are you? You're a douchebag. You sound like you're sexually frustrated. And I'm like, first of all, I don't know you. You live in Oregon. Maybe you should go OD on that legal heroin that they have.
Yeah, heroin.
And it's just the balls that people have hiding behind a computer screen, these days. But it's that mentality. And this is one of the things, as we go on and on and on, and I'm like, honestly, if you look at the candidates, look at Donald Trump, look at Biden on the political spectrum. And I'm not talking, the political compass, A lot of people like to refer to the political spectrum, which just goes left or right. But there's a whole compass, you know, with multiple planes. And if you look at the two, both of them are up in the top right corner. Trump and Biden are both up in the top right corner. And that top right corner is authoritarianism. It's an authoritarian right. And it's crazy to think how diametrically opposed the two parties are.
When they're
when they're that close together in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
I mean, it's scary because then, you look at it from that light and you kind of start to see that maybe we are being kind of lied to by everybody. They both have the same end goal. They just have a different path to get there. They both know how to rally their base to help them get there.
Yeah.
That's the name of the game. I mean, politics is about power.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's all about power.
It is. And that's what, that's, the bad thing about it is that's not how it was intended.
No, absolutely not.
But there's no way, I've said this a long time, a normal man can't go and become president.
No, absolutely
like
not.
A guy that truly has the best interest, and he's let's say he's a farmer or business owner, just like a small town good dude. And he's like, you know what? I want to make some changes. I'm running for president. Well, unless you have $1 billion, you ain't doing it. So, that's
it's sad because, I mean, that's not, like you said, it's not the way it was meant to be. It was meant to be statesmen. It was meant, you know, back at the beginning days of the country, people were elected. They had jobs. They were farmers, and, you know, they worked at home. And they came to Washington for like 3 weeks out of the whole year.
Yeah.
Made a couple of rules and went home.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. None of them were lifers.
No.
And that's what, one of the things that was a big strong point with Trump with me was the dude was not a politician.
Yeah.
And like, I liked that he was not a polished speaker because that guy got up there and said whatever the crap was on his mind. Like, and that's what Biden, I'm like, this guy's been in office. He's been
47 years.
Yeah, like, it's like,
the guy that's been in office for 47 years, he's going to fix it all.
Yeah, I better not hear one Democrat say we need term limits, because I'm like, dude, term limits? Like, Biden has served like 20 people's terms. Like,
oh, man.
But hey, it's funny you talking about the people too online. The one guy like going to psychopath. There was a guy, and I know you know him on there. I'm not going to say his name, but we were friends very briefly.
I already know who you're talking about.
Probably is an older guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Wears a funny hat in his picture. Yeah. He's like only people's friends for a short amount of time on there. But he commented, and one of my things that I said on there, they got to talking about abortion. And he was like, I am as pro-life as any of you are. And I commented on there, and I said, but you're not pro-life. I said, you can say it, but you vote for it. Like, liberals, Democrats, you know, I get like the libertarian spectrum is kind of like let people do whatever. Democrats are in favor. They're pro-choice.
I mean, there are some that are, and that's frightening.
Yeah, but
we're in favor of actual abortion.
Yeah,
I think there's a difference to be made there. People who are like, oh yeah, let's go get an abortion.
Yeah.
And people who are like, well, maybe somebody should have that option if the need arises.
But that's like the,
you know what I mean?
Platform is in favor of abortion.
You get an abortion.
Yes. And
it's odd.
Yeah. And seeing that's the thing with that is if you vote for it, you're voting in favor of it.
Yeah.
Like that's just, and so that's what I said. I was like, you're not pro-life. I said, I mean, you might say that. And I said, maybe this means you need to think about the way that you vote.
Yeah.
And so then he responded and was like, you two-faced hypocrite racist, like you voted it. And I'm like, first of all, I don't even know you. So I'm like, how am I two-faced? Like,
hey, you wait a second, you lying dog-faced pony soldier.
You pony soldier, you want to go do push-ups? Let's see who can do more push-ups.
Come on, fat, let's go do push-ups.
Yeah, hey, fat. So it's just wild. Like you said, the internet's made everybody like a keyboard commando.
Man, it's crazy.
But no, and so I do want you to tell us what libertarians are, and I mean, like I said, me and you've talked about it a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And in a lot of ways, I'm a libertarian. There is just like a couple of things.
There's a couple of hang-ups that it takes some time to get over. And I was the same way, you know, like I think, honestly, my road to libertarianism, which, you know, honestly, that road is leading more towards anarchist than anything in this day and time, but not the kind of anarchists that they show you on TV. You know, it drives me crazy to hear them talking about the people out looting and burning cities down, and these anarchists, like, those aren't anarchists.
They want more government.
Those are criminal opportunists. Yeah. Those are not anarchists.
And they're like rioting against the right, but they're kind of pawns for the left.
They are. They're out rioting for more government.
Yes, they want more.
They just want more of what they want. You know, it's so strange. Like, let's abolish the police, but give me a bigger paycheck. Like, nothing makes sense coming from that side.
No, and that's where I wish that Trump would have sent in the military and been like, all right, here's that more government you want. Now go beat the snot out of these people.
So I do still kind of have my moments where I revert back to being a Republican, and you know that It happens, and I'm not proud of it, but no. But this whole summer was just, I mean, it doesn't feel like real life.
Yeah.
And seeing the military in these cities, part of me is like, hell yeah. Go shut that crap down.
Yeah.
Like, we don't need these people out here destroying property. But then on the other hand, I'm like, that's not okay.
Yeah.
It's not within really the realm of what the federal government should be doing.
Yeah.
That's...
But how do
the
they
Constitution made it pretty clear that we're not supposed to have a standing army.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean, military or, we're supposed to have a military, but a standing army, they were kind of referring to like what the British had in the Bobby system, where you just have a police officer on every street corner that if they wanted to stop you and take money from you or, make up a new rule to get some money out of you, they could.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the road that I see that going down.
Yeah.
When you've got a president who is unilaterally just mobilizing some secret task force that he has to shut down people that disagree with him, essentially, and like we were talking about a while ago with Antifa and the left, like, that's also fascism, so it's a weird...
But how do you shut them down?
I personally, it's got to be up to us. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. I mean,
so then the people need to grow a pair.
People need to grow a pair. Like, we've gotten so soft.
Yeah. Did you see the dudes in California at the gym?
Oh yeah,
with the shotgun.
Oh yeah.
That's what I was like, yes.
And we need more of that, rooftop Koreans, bring them on. I love rooftop Koreans. We need way more of that. And that's the biggest thing about libertarianism is, like I said earlier, just leave us alone. Like, the government has no reason to be as large and intrusive in our everyday lives that it is nowadays. It's there for 3 reasons, and those 3 reasons are protecting the homeland, interstate commerce, and settling disputes between the states. We all learned that in like 4th grade social studies. Those are the 3 roles of government.
Yeah.
And that's it. I mean, there's going to be other little things where they're going to need to get involved, but really, I mean, when you can water your yard, does the government really need to be telling us that?
Can't catch rainwater, have you ever heard?
And you can't drink raw milk. Like, who's that going to hurt? Like,
some guy caught a guy drinking straight from the teat and was like, that can never happen again.
You ever wonder about the other weird stuff that guy tried? Hey, come taste this.
Yeah. Yeah, some dude was like, I'm going to ban that.
But yeah, I mean, just... You have to wear a seatbelt. You have to purchase a product.
Man, like, seatbelt pisses me off.
It's absurd, and it's fundraising.
Yep.
And I'm gonna, I'll catch a lot of flack for this, I'm sure. My dad was a police officer my entire life, and he and I, we see things differently, in a lot of ways. A lot of things we, will agree on, but there are certain things that we get into it.
Yeah.
I mean. And there's been times where we've gone a few days without talking to each other, like it's gotten kind of heated. No. And that's one of the state of law enforcement today is one of those kind of points of contention that we have.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing kind of applies there. Just leave people alone.
Yeah.
I think pulling me over because I don't have a piece of fabric buckled across my chest in my car so that you can write me a ticket. That's, if you want to break it down, that's extortion.
Yeah.
And it's not right, and it serves no purpose.
Yeah. And that's how, I'm very pro police.
Yeah, absolutely.
Got some good friends that are police, and I think they're great guys.
Me too.
And that's what overall, overwhelmingly, I think cops are good guys.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I do think, like, there's petty things, and most of the cops that I know don't like doing these bull crap things. Like,
you're absolutely right.
The speed tickets and seatbelt tickets, like most of the guys that are my buddies that are cops, they can't stand doing that because most of them don't even wear a seatbelt. Right. And so it's like they hate doing that crap. And that's what I'm like, man, look, I know the risk. If I don't wear a seatbelt, I might projectile myself through the windshield. I get it. And I am willing to take that risk.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I love freedom so much.
It's only going to affect me. Like, that's the thing. And by proxy, yes, it will affect my family. So I should wear my seatbelt just for my family's sake.
But wait, what if you hurl your body as a projectile into somebody else and then you hurt them? Now it's affecting them.
Well, there you go. Well, then prosecute me for that. But I mean, yeah, I don't want it to come across, like I don't support police. I do support the police, and I do, I have a lot of respect. It's not a job that I would do.
Yeah.
I watched my dad do it, and there were times I remember one time in high school, I think I was sophomore, junior, something like that. I'll take a little more too, but that's fine. There was an incident at a house like right up the street from the high school in Covington where a guy had like locked himself in and started shooting out of the house and shot 2 cops. And I think it ended up killing one of them, and one of them got injured pretty bad. And so because it was so close to the school, they locked the school down and brought everybody into the gym and told us all what was going on,
Yeah.
And my heart like fell through my stomach because all I knew was that 2 cops had been shot right up the street and that my dad was at work.
Yeah.
And so it's not a job that I would do.
Yeah.
I've seen what it does to people, seen the way it affects them mentally, the way it affects their family life. I mean, so I do have respect, absolute respect for people that do it. But the question that I ask my good friends that are cops and my dad who was a cop is, you like to talk a big game about, come and pry my guns from my cold dead hands and don't tread on me and Molon Labe, all of that. But at the end of the day, who's going to be doing it? And it's really easy to sit here and say, well, not me. But if you're comfortable enforcing these other laws that are obviously an infringement.
Yeah.
And, well, I'm just doing my job. Where does that line stop?
Yeah.
And it may not be you, but your buddy will.
Yeah.
And that's, that doesn't feel good. To know that these people that are supposed to be out here for us, at the end of the day, oh, well, I'm just doing my job. And knocking on my door, coming and, taking my whatever, They won't find them, though. I think they're in the bottom of the Mississippi River at this point. It's been the water was rough.
It is.
The last few days.
Terrible boating accidents lately. No, and that's the same. And I actually saw, man, I wish I could remember his name. He was a Portland police officer, and he just got. Did you see this? Where he got fired. Man, what were these? It was they were arresting business owners, I think, for keeping their business open.
Yeah.
And like this was during the COVID thing. I mean, people were like literally going broke, and so they just like had to open their business, and they were arresting them. And this Portland cop made a video on like Facebook. And
I did see that.
Yeah, he was like, "This is wrong,"
And that's what we need. But
he got canned.
We need them. We need them to stand up.
Yeah.
Because law, like the federal government has trickled too far down into local law enforcement, I think, is the bigger problem that we have.
Yeah.
And, and the thing that kicked it all off this summer with the George Floyd. Yeah, not all cops are bad. But the first time that I can remember ever hearing an outcry against the actions of a police officer by police officers was this summer.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the divide has come from is, are all cops bad? No, not all cops are bad. But then why aren't the good ones calling out the bad ones?
Yeah.
And for the longest time, it's been that way. It's been kind of a good old boys club where, I've got your back no matter what, even if you're wrong. And
yeah.
That's where the distrust has come from.
Yeah.
And I think that's starting to change within law enforcement. And, we saw a lot of it over the summer.
Yeah.
I don't know how many videos I saw of police officers coming and saying, no, this was wrong.
Yeah.
This guy needs to go to jail or,
Well, and that's what one of the things that got me, frustrated me, that people tried to kind of use the whole, don't even give me, BLM.
Oh, God,
man, they're in my eyes, they're like a terrorist group.
They're no different from the KKK.
No. And the thing about the George Floyd thing, I can't tell you one person that was like, yeah, that was okay.
Yeah, no. No, you can't.
Everybody was like, yeah, that was wrong, man. They should have, and the people with him should have stepped up and done something.
Yeah.
Everybody, that's like the first thing that our country has pretty much been like, yeah, that was wrong. Everybody.
9/11. I think that's the only thing that we've actually unified behind.
Yeah. And seeing,
but it had the opposite effect of 9/11 when we did.
Yeah. And I think I kind of blame BLM on some of that.
Oh, yeah.
Because they came up all of a sudden out of that and started burning down buildings, and people are like, hey, man, we all think this is wrong.
None of us support this.
No.
They're awful. I mean, I'm all for, lowercase Black Lives Matter. Absolutely. I do think that there's things in this country that really do need to change about the way that we treat people, everybody as a whole. But when you're out here burning stuff down and attacking people, you're not doing anything for your cause.
No,
I mean,
gosh, you're firing up the other side.
It's sad because there is such an important message in that gets overshadowed. And I get it. You're angry, you're mad. There's things that are pent up for years and decades, just generational things pent up inside you. And, there's ways to get that out. And I think, I've had tons of conversations with people about it. And the one kind of constant about that is we've tried to talk about it. We've tried to be civil. We've tried to bring it up here and bring it up there, and we've kind of been told, oh, this isn't the place and time. Football games, not the place and time.
Yeah.
NASCAR race, that's not the right place, And so at what point do you have to go to the next level to get your point heard? I don't
know, because, man, I can tell you, from the people that I talked to about it, it had the exact opposite effect of that.
Yeah.
Most of them were like if they didn't have bad feelings towards them beforehand, they did after. They're like, man, I wish a guy, instead of them being like, I wish we would talk about things and settle this. They're like, I wish a guy would step out with a street sweeper and smoke these people. That's what most people. Now,
the whole thing.
So, yeah,
it's a sticky situation. Either way you cut it. I mean, I do think voices have not been heard that maybe needed to be heard. Yeah. But I wish I had the answers, because I probably wouldn't be sitting here in Covington, Tennessee. Yeah. I might be somewhere else actually making a difference. I wish I did have the answers, but I know things are changing in America. Yeah. And they should change for the better, but I don't see it happening that way. We've gotten into this thing, you hear it all the time, identity politics. Well, intersectionalism.
Yeah.
And that's honestly one of the most dangerous things to liberty, is that intersectionalist idea, I think, Ayn Rand in The Fountainhead, I think it was, said it best. The smallest minority on earth is the individual, and you can't call yourself a champion or a defender for minorities if you would deny the rights of the individual. And that's kind of where we've gotten is, but now even individuals don't matter anymore.
But even that book offends people.
Oh yeah,
it's like a
Ayn Rand
capitalism.
herself offends people. Like, I've been called everything but a child of God for even mentioning Ayn Rand in casual conversation. So yeah, she's.
And wasn't it just like I've got the Atlas Shrugged and the Fountainhead, but they're literally bigger than the Bible.
Oh yeah, they're huge. They're huge.
I have not took the time to read them, and even the audio version's probably 80 hours long.
I mean, it's like 6 months long.
I mean, I'd probably be dead before I finished them. So I haven't gone through those. But
you can watch the Atlas Shrugged movie. It's pretty. It gets the job done in about 8 hours. I think.
Isn't it just it? I mean, she's a very big capitalist, right?
She writes that way, yeah. Kind of later on in her life, not so much. But that's essentially what
the book.
The book portrays. Yeah.
All right, I don't want to go down that hole, but so tell us what the. But that's what I was just thinking. I was like, I thought that was all right. So what the heck is a libertarian? Tell us kind of what it is. What are the policy? Like, what would you consider? Because I can say, as a Republican, me personally, as a Republican, I'm pro-gun, I'm pro-life. I like a minimal government, and I hold conservative values. That's kind of my rundown of Republican. What is a libertarian?
You're like 3/4 of the way there, man.
I know. I do think we need machine guns.
We do. We absolutely need machine guns. I need an A10 Warthog.
There you go. Yep.
Like I said before, small government is the key, and individual liberty. People have to be able to make their decisions for themselves without being told to by the government or without being fined for making that decision by the government. That's the key to it all. It's just going back to, this country was founded on libertarian ideals where, we've got a few people up here who are going to kind of make sure you don't get too crazy, but do your thing. Yeah. And that's in a nutshell, that's it. Yeah. We can, nitpick it and break it down all we want to, but at the end of the day, it's freedom. Is it more state governed than federal? Yeah, it would definitely be. In today's setting, in a country this size, most of the focus is going to be on local and state governments with minimal interference from the federal government. And that's the way you're represented. It's the way it should be. Yeah. You have way better representation. Absolutely. People tend to forget where they came from when they moved to DC. Yeah. And it doesn't take long. I like Trump, but Trump's a New Yorker, business mogul, whatever. He doesn't know anything about Tennessee. Well, Joe Biden doesn't know crap about the way we live in Tennessee. So yeah, I'm with you there. Yeah. As far as policies go, the policies run kind of the same way, which I think, the government doesn't need to make policies that affect me in that way. And, we'll tell you that most of the laws out there are unconstitutional. Most of the laws on the books are a violation of my rights. Is it money? Is what money? Is that money at the end? Is that I think about this sometimes because I think about it as a farmer. Like, one of my biggest threats is the loss of land. Yeah. Because that's where I make my money. And we're losing, actually right across the street over here, we work a farm. It's 185 acres. It's the 300 acres total, I think. It just got bought. It's going to all be turned into subdivisions. We couldn't buy it because they want so much money for it. They're only a commercial thing. I'm about to lose. There's another farm that I'm probably going to lose within the next year or two. It's about 200 acres.
and they're trying to get it subdivided because they can make the big cheese.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, like, we try to buy it as farmers and pay what I can pay as a farmer, and it's going to stay in farming. But like the threat of me for me is losing that land.
Yeah.
And greed is killing me because I can't afford to pay the money that they need, that they want.
Right.
So is that what's at the root of the problem? Like with
I think
the over-regulation, because ultimately in the day, it all ends with fines and things like that.
It does. I mean, I don't know if you can,
Taxation is
theft. And I mean, these fines are just a sign of another form of taxation. And that's what the government.
Are you good on time?
No, I'm straight.
Okay,
I'm good.
cool.
That's what that's what big government thrives on. They want, their goal is to keep us as poor as they possibly can.
Yeah.
Because once we amass a certain amount of treasures and riches and gems and jewels and all that fun stuff, we become a threat to them.
Yeah.
We can play on their playing field. So it's absolutely, I mean, it's about money, and that's where all the regulations come in. That's where the tax code of the country, I think, is probably as tall as this table. I mean, that's where all that plays in, as money. And unfortunately, that is a byproduct of capitalism.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
But when did that shift change? I mean, like, because when they founded, we pretty much started America because we were pissed off about taxes.
Yeah, well, at the end of the day, we aren't a capitalist nation anymore. We like to pretend like we are. We like to throw the word around, but we are, and even our government isn't even a representative democracy or republic, of that anymore. We are a corporate oligarchy. Corporations run the country.
Yeah.
And we pretend like we still have a free market, like I can go out here and make a product and compete with Amazon, but we can't. And it's because we don't have the protection that the government has to offer, because we don't have the funds to give them kickbacks for that protection. I mean, it's, if you go and watch Goodfellas or The Godfather, it's a pretty accurate representation of the way the government works. I mean, it's extortion, and it's protection money.
Yeah.
And, libertarianism, that's one of the key planks in their platform, is true free market capitalism, laissez-faire capitalism. Get the government out of everything. Get them out of education. Get them out of insurance. Get them out of healthcare. Get them out of everything.
See, and I like all that. And I'll tell you, one of my holdups is gone that I did have.
What's that?
All right. I am a traditional marriage kind of guy. As a Christian, I believe the Bible, and it's one man, one woman. And somebody's listening. Probably not. I was going to say, I probably got a listener that's like pulling his hair out. At this point, those people probably don't listen to this podcast. But anyways, any of those people probably got weeded out when I had Jared Taylor on here. He was pretty firm in what he said. But I'm a traditional marriage guy. And so for the longest time, that was one of my holdups with libertarianism, is it's like, I cannot be okay with gay marriage. And, but I guess I thought about it actually today, because I was kind of thinking about our talk tonight, and I was like, you know what? I can be not okay with gay marriage, but actually hold a libertarian view, because
absolutely.
I can say, you know what,
because we're the party of freedom.
And I could say, the government just won't be involved, and in my eyes, and this is the part that would offend some people, in my eyes, God just doesn't condone that marriage. I mean, that was one of my hang-ups. The way I see it, the government has no place in, like you said, they have no place in it whatsoever.
Yeah. They don't, even in the issuance of licenses, like when did me deciding who I want to spend my life with
you need a
become
license?
The business of the government to sell me a piece of paper so that I can legally do that?
Yeah.
It's pointless. And again, it's extortion. It's getting money for nothing. I mean, hunting licenses I know go to good causes.
I was going to say the taxes go
but
good
that money is actually allocated in a way that is beneficial. But, licensing for anything, hunting, fishing, driving, anything is absurd because those things are just kind of a natural part of who you are.
In Braveheart, William Wallace did not go apply for a license to marry his woman.
No, he didn't. He probably bought her. I mean, I think that's how it worked back then.
Well, he might have. Maybe he should have applied for a license. Maybe that's why she got her throat slit.
Maybe. Like here's a kilt and some potatoes. I don't know. Like, can I marry your daughter? But the government doesn't have a place in it. And as far as the benefits that come with being married, the tax benefits and the beneficiary insurance beneficiary benefits, being able to even, and it's a big thing now with COVID, like being able to go to the hospital with someone if they're sick. Like, you shouldn't be denied that just because
you're not married.
You're not married or whatever. Like, those are basic human rights.
Yeah.
And I try my best to keep my religion and my politics as separate as possible.
Yeah.
Mainly because, morality is a thing that can exist without religion, but religion can't exist without morality. And you can't legislate morality. Like, so, and, look at Saudi Arabia, look at Iran. Those are countries that have governments that are ran by religion.
And they chop your heads off.
Exactly. So I don't want, I don't want to risk getting stoned to death because, I didn't spank my child the right way or something, so I don't.
But that's hard. That's hard to do.
It's difficult. It really is difficult a lot of times. But the way that I look at, the marriage issue is, it's not my business either.
Yeah.
It's not the business of the government, and it's not my business. Like, even from a Christian point of view, it's not my business. Like, my job as a Christian would be to tell you that, God loves you, that tell you the story, It's not to tell you that you're wrong. It's not up to me to convict you. It's up to God to convict you. And so, we all sin. No sin's greater than the other.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the way I look at it. Like, I kind of had to take a step back from it. Like, from a Christian standpoint, I can't get behind that.
Yeah.
But it's not my place to make that decision or judge you for that decision.
Yeah.
And get the government out of it.
Yeah, I like the idea of the government not being in it. But now the one holdup that I'm at that I just don't see a way around, and that's the abortion issue. Because, like, and I get, like, letting people do their thing, but I mean, man, if there's anything that I'm pretty fiery about.
Yeah.
And my wife, she's a NICU nurse. She is as fiery as I am. She's even more fiery.
Oh, I'm sure.
It. Like, I just cannot go with, like, in my eyes, morally, as a Christian and everything, I just can't think it's okay to kill somebody, like kill a baby. I mean,
absolutely. I don't agree with abortion at all.
Yeah.
I abhor the idea of abortion. Absolutely. I agree 100%.
Yeah.
And, the official stance of the Libertarian Party on abortion is that you should be free to choose to do whatever you want to.
But it affects somebody else.
It does. And you and I know that. The problem, I think, is, and it could all shift with definitions of things.
Yeah.
mass accepted definitions. So, I mean, as far as I understand it, for the most part, the definition that the government uses for, life and whatever doesn't include
like a fetus.
A fetus.
Yeah.
Unless it's killed by someone else.
Driver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if the mother makes a decision, somehow that negates its personhood. But, it's, and I'm going to, people we know will see this and I'll catch 9 kinds of hell, I'm sure, but it kind of plays out the same way as the gay marriage. Like, it's not my place to tell you that you can't do that. It's not any man's place. It's not man like dude, but it's not another human's place to tell you. That's God's place to guide you on that decision. I'll be here to give you my opinion, but ultimately the decision is yours, and you're the one that's going to have to deal with the repercussions of that decision, not me.
Yeah.
And so the thing that it then turns into is, what happens if you make abortion illegal? And we've, as a country, we have a pretty good history to draw on of what happens when we make things illegal. I mean, what happened when we made alcohol illegal? Well, the mafia. What happened when we made drugs illegal? We have street gangs.
Yeah.
Like, every time the government just places an outright blanket ban on something, violence ensues. And the same thing will happen with abortion. Abortions have been happening since the beginning of time.
Yeah.
And they will always happen. And so, while I don't agree with it, if someone else doesn't share the same views that I have, I at least want to know that they have access to safe, clean environment to have that done and not put their life at risk too.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it might sound like kind of a cop-out, but that's just, it's going to happen, and it's either going to be in a sterile, controlled, regulated environment, or it's going to be in a back alley with a coat hanger and people are just going to be dying in the street.
Yeah.
So
that's where like, I guess you hear the thing about, as a young man, you're supposed to be a liberal. Mm-hmm. Because you want peace and love. Yeah. And then as you age, you become like a conservative.
Yeah.
And what is the thing? It's like, if you're a young conservative, you have no heart. Have you heard that?
Oh, yeah. If you're a young conservative, you have no heart.
Well, I have never had a heart because I have always been that way.
That's why we're such good friends, Logan. Because I'm the same way.
Yes. I mean, that's why the Jolly Roger flag is right behind you. No, and that, all right, so, and this is probably would offend some people, but I'm kind of on the side where, man, like, I'm for like the saying of what is it? Everybody can do whatever they want as long as your liberty doesn't interfere with me, kind of thing.
Absolutely.
And or interfere with somebody else. And I mean, I get the thing on the like safe, sterile places, but the like cold side of me says let them do it in the alley with the coat hanger. If they're gonna, like, I don't want to in any way make it easier. Yeah. Like, because in my mind, I feel like there would be a girl that might think about it and be like, well, there's not a good place to do it, and she might not do it. I mean, and the one that's going to do it with a coat hanger in the alley is going to do it with a coat hanger in the alley, or either way. Yeah. I mean, she's going to do it. So, like, that's kind of where I'm at. And, like, I mean, if she damages herself, this is the mean part of me or whatever like, if she damages herself, that's the price you paid. The price she paid. And so, I mean, and I don't want people to think that I'm some like cold-hearted bastard by saying that, but I mean,
no, I completely understand. I mean, like I said, it's an abhorrent thing to me. Like I don't see how anyone could do that.
Yeah.
You know, going through the things that I've been through in the last couple of years, I can't wrap my mind around somebody wanting to kill their child.
Yeah.
Whether it was planned or not, you know, I've held a child in my hands that wasn't alive.
Yeah.
And she was supposed to be.
Yeah.
And how you can choose to do that, you're a disgusting individual as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Now, there are cases where, you know, people like to talk about the rape, the incest, the things like that.
Like 0.1% of it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very, very small percent.
And do you punish the child for the sins of the father is the kind of thing I look at with the rape.
That's, again, it's a question for that person.
Yeah.
It's not my place to decide.
Yeah.
Until we come up with a universally accepted scientific definition of when life begins, then I don't think we'll ever end that debate.
See, I wish they would just say conception, because that's, as a Christian, that's where I see it.
Well, yeah, as a Christian, that's where I see it too. But the problem that we have is that the scientists, and we're seeing it now with COVID, scientists have been in the pockets of the government for decades. Yeah. And so they're going to...
So what's the solution here for everything?
Revolution.
That's what I've really thought about this. Now, I've thought a lot about revolution too, but all right, you're going to school now. What are you studying?
I'm doing my undergraduate in political science, and then I'm moving on to law.
All right. Now, are you comfortable telling what your plans are?
I want to be on the Supreme Court.
All right.
I mean, I know I'm not going to, but you know,
why are you not going to?
I don't know. It just, I don't know. That's a lofty goal, and the Supreme Court probably won't even be there when I graduate. But no, I want to focus on constitutional law. I mean, the Constitution intrigues me. Yeah. You know, there's so much that I don't know about it, and the whole process of coming up with it, and you know, James Madison and you know, all of those guys,
they were freaking smart, man.
It's incredible the way that their minds worked and the things that they saw coming out of. I mean, it just goes to show you that, you know, there is nothing new under the sun. No, like the same games have been being played for centuries. Yeah. So, but we live in a country where, you know, there hasn't ever been a document like the Constitution that's so strict yet so open, like, at the same time. And I just, it's an intriguing document, and I want to know everything that I can about it. Yeah. And, you know, I know constitutional law usually ends up in a classroom teaching more constitutional lawyers, and if that's how it ends up, then so be it, you know.
Well, we need less liberal.
I probably couldn't get a job. If anybody watches this podcast, I'm never going to get hired at a major university, so no.
Well, that's all right. You'll be on AOC's list anyways.
Oh man. Well, you know, speaking of AOC, I was watching little piece of a podcast before you came in. It was Ben Ferguson, who, oh god, he annoys me, but I'm not going to say that out loud. I used to listen to him all the time on talk radio.
But he's 98.9.
Yeah. Yep. He just got to be a little too whiny for my taste. Yeah. But with the losses that the Democrats have suffered in the House, and kind of the narrow margin of victory that they're claiming in the presidential election, there's actually a revolution going on among the Democrats in the House. Nancy Pelosi doesn't have the votes to retain her speakership.
Really?
Yeah, which is a really interesting turn of events, considering that it's starting to look more and more like the Speaker of the House is going to be an interim president for a little while here, coming up at the first of the year. So it's interesting to see who they're gonna shove forward into that role if she can't rally the votes.
Where would Nancy go?
Oh, she'd still be there. She just wouldn't be in charge anymore. And, you know, honestly, if you take a good, long, hard look at the Democratic Party of today, Nancy's a moderate.
Yeah. Yeah, she's not. The AOCs are the Democrats of today.
Yeah. And I mean, Kamala Harris is further left than Bernie Sanders, if you can fathom that.
Did you see the thing where Nora O'Donnell interviewed her and was like, "You're the most liberal senator," and Nora O'Donnell is a big Democrat.
Yeah.
Like, so I mean, for her to even say that was pretty big.
She's too liberal for a lot of liberals.
Yeah.
I mean, like too liberal for a lot of Democrats.
And Kamala, it kills me of all the people, because Kamala literally locked up a ton of black guys for smoking joints. Like, I mean, like, and I'm pretty sure
using the legal framework that Joe Biden wrote.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm
pretty sure didn't she even like get one guy the death penalty? Like,
because she withheld evidence.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the allegation there.
But Trump's a Nazi racist. Yeah. He bangs black chicks back in his life, but he's a racist.
I mean, I don't even at this point, you know, and I don't even know what racist means at this point. Honestly.
I don't either. Well,
but I mean, none of it means anything anymore. I mean, they're just words.
You can call anybody a Nazi.
Yeah.
Like, that's what the people that are calling these people Nazis, have they ever been to the Holocaust Museum and actually seen the crap Nazis done?
They're probably Holocaust deniers, honestly. Like, they didn't even learn about it. They don't know about it.
Do they learn about it anymore?
I don't know. I mean, I talk to Kim sometimes and, you know, try to ask her
what they're learning.
What they're learning. And, you know, she was telling me last week, like, they were talking about the elections and had a mock election at school and all of this. And she's like, but there were only two choices. It was only between Trump and Biden. And I'm like, dude, that's like fourth grade. Like, you're telling these people in fourth grade.
Yeah, where the heck is Kanye West?
That they only have two choices. Kanye West. Tennessee came out strong.
We were the best. I think we had the most votes.
Why? Like, why Tennessee? I don't understand.
It couldn't have been Shelby County. I mean,
no. It had to be that Davidson County over there.
Yeah. No, man, way
to go, Tennessee.
Well, that's, you know, man, I don't know. I'm curious to see where we go. You know, I want to see where the election goes.
Yeah. I'm interested to see what happens from a judiciary standpoint. I want to see what the court's decisions are.
I do too.
Now with Amy Coney Barrett up there, which, I mean, I've got mixed feelings about her too, but I like her better than Brett Kavanaugh.
Yeah. See, and I liked Brett just because the liberals hated him so.
Yeah. Well, the thing that I didn't like about Brett was he at least assisted to a very strong degree in the authorship of the Patriot Act, which is probably the greatest affront to our individual liberties of our lifetime that we'll probably ever see.
Yeah.
And he was pretty instrumental in arranging the wording in the Affordable Care Act to circumvent the Constitution.
Really?
Yeah. He's, you know, there was the whole argument of, is this a tax or is this a penalty? And
yeah,
that was his doing. Like, he used his legalese, you know, fluency and legalese there to manipulate those words so that couldn't be deemed unconstitutional. So those are two pretty big,
it is
two pretty big strikes against the guy that was supposedly, you know, one of the most conservative Supreme Court justices.
Yeah.
In modern time.
Amy don't have that dirt on her. She seemed pretty solid from what I saw.
So, funny thing about her confirmation hearings is Jamie and I, like, we were actually on vacation during all of that. And we left on the first day of her hearings. We drove down to Destin. and literally listened to that the entire way to Florida. Like, and at one point I looked over at her and I'm like, 10 years ago, we would be like blasting some Nelly and like 3-6, something,
Yeah. It's the good route.
And now we're listening to talk radio. Like what happened to us?
Not just talk radio.
Yeah.
A Supreme Court hearing.
Literally C-SPAN. We're literally listening to C-SPAN.
The channel that the TV automatically comes on to back in the day, and you would immediately change it.
But no, it's really, it was really interesting, and I enjoyed it thoroughly, listening to the questions that they asked and hearing her completely just decimate them.
Oh, she is so freaking smart.
She's a genius.
I loved when Kamala Harris tried to ask her questions, and she just picked Kamala to pieces.
Oh yeah,
and I'm like, Kamala, you ain't even like close to her level.
Smug. Oh, I think that's why I don't like her. I think it's her. It's not the only reason, but she's so smug.
She is,
and just. She has a very punchable face. And I don't condone violence against women, but she has a very punchable face.
Yeah.
And, during the vice presidential debates when she's just sitting there and just, excuse me, I'm talking.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's just something that smugness I don't like.
She thinks your crap don't stink, man.
And it does, I promise.
Yeah.
But
that's
your president, man.
Hashtag not my president. Hey, and that's I'll tell you, I am, like I said, super far to the right, but if I had to have any Democratic nominee that was on their running, it would have by far, and I'm not. And this will offend some people. I guess this is just a really offensive episode we're doing tonight. This one, if I put this one on Face or on YouTube, it's getting some thumbs down probably. But I really don't. I'm even hesitant to say it, but I'm just gonna say it. I don't really want a woman president yet. I just don't think we're there yet.
Yeah.
I have friends that were in the military, and there was women in the combat zone with them, and they talked about problems that they had with them. They talked about the danger that it put some of the men in because they felt a manly obligation to try to protect those women. They talked about if a guy gets shot in the street, I weigh 210 pounds. If I'm in military garb, vest, gun, I probably am pushing 300 pounds.
Yeah.
And I get shot in the street and I'm down in the street. Is this woman going to be able to drag me out of the street? Not very likely.
Yeah.
That's not a dig at women.
No, absolutely not.
There's a lot of things women are a hell of a lot better at than I am.
Oh,
my wife,
things.
I was going to say, my wife is way better at most things than me. But that's why she's smarter than me, but if there's a tree that has to be chopped down, she's like, hey, dummy, come chop this tree down. I can handle that.
I'm okay being the useful idiot.
Yes.
It's fine.
I'm not ready for a woman president. Just not there yet.
Yeah.
Maybe one day, but I'm not there yet. Saying that, though, out of all the...
Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah. She's the only one because... She's the only one that really could reach across the aisle.
Yeah, no, she was the perfect candidate, honestly.
And that's why she couldn't win.
And that was it. She was actually her and Andrew Yang, which Andrew Yang was kind of crazy with his everybody gets $1,000 a month. Whatever. I'm all for it. At this point, we're in $27 trillion worth of debt.
Let's just keep
Who
printing
cares?
money. Yeah.
Just print some more. Give me all of it. I don't care. But between the two of those, out of the entire Democratic field, a Tulsi Gabbard, Andrew Yang, or Andrew Yang, Tulsi Gabbard ticket would have been perfect.
Yeah.
And the Democrats would have had no trouble winning with that ticket. And, I think the thing that I liked about Andrew Yang was his stance on, energy. It wasn't all crazy like the Green New Deal with AOC, but because he actually understands the technology. He's a smart guy. AOC's a bartender. So I'm not going to trust her opinion on, cold fusion or, thorium reactors or anything like that. But he understood the technology. And I like that. Like, I like that he absolutely wasn't a politician. He's just some guy. Yeah. But super smart, you know, and Tulsi is a veteran, and
I like that.
She's been in politics for a little while, and she's not about, she's not really about that party BS.
No, I mean
she's about America.
She was going toe to toe with Hillary Clinton there, and that was probably part of her demise. That was
the biggest reason why she didn't get more than she got. I mean, I think out of all the candidates in the primary debates, like, she got dramatically less screen time than anybody else, and that was why, because the Democrat Party, the machine, already had it out against her because she wouldn't
toe the line, Hillary. Man. Well, and that's where, I'll be honest with you, if it was Trump Pence versus Gabbard Yang, I would vote Trump Pence, because my fear, and this is the same with when Phil Bredesen ran again this last time in Tennessee. He even said in there, he was like, I agree with some of Trump. Like, he was trying to appeal to the right. But the bad thing is, man, now the Democrat Party will literally crucify somebody that goes against their status quo. Like, if a Democrat comes out today and is like, man, I'm not in favor of an assault weapon ban, they pretty much get emasculated. That's like, and so that's where.
Well, that's where the Democratic Party, I think, is kind of coming apart at the seams. Like, the party, we're going to see it in the next 4 years, and it may be both parties, but it's definitely going to be the Democratic Party. There's going to be a huge realignment. Yeah. The Democrats. And it's going to be interesting to see which side of the Democrat Party
whether
wins.
It's the progressive or the moderate.
Yeah. Which one gets to keep that Democrat Party name, and which one has to go be a third party and fight for representation like we're having to do. But it's happening. It's happening right now. And it's obvious. Like I said earlier, with Pelosi not having the support of
see, that makes me think that it's the progressive side that's going to emerge.
I don't think it will be, though. Because I don't think that's what the average voter, the average Democrat voter wants. Yeah. It's what the loudest Democrat voters want, but I don't think it's what most of them want.
Well, that's a good point, because typically the loudest person in the room is not the average consensus.
Yeah, absolutely. Going back to the story about the crazy people on Facebook, the people that are posting all these things that are screaming the loudest, I know for a fact that you're not even a registered voter. So, or if you are, you're not registered, in the state that you live in now, or you've never voted, and it's like all of them, everybody that's loudest.
And the average, in all honesty, in 2016, the normal average Democrat probably was like, well, crap, Trump won. All right, I guess I'll go and do my thing tomorrow.
Then there's been a progressive 4-year campaign to get us to the point where we are now, where we're just...
But the divide...
We're past the point of reconciliation at this point.
And that's why I get a huge kick out of the Democrats now being like, we need to come together now. It's time to unify. And James, do you follow much of James Woods? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Man, I love James Woods because he loves to blast the liberals. And he put up a tweet, and I'm going to butcher it, but it was essentially along the lines of have you ever seen the woman that's her husband is abusive and gives her black eyes? She wears the sunglasses to hide her bruises. And then he finally is like, it's time for us to heal and come together. And she tells him to go F himself. He was like, that's pretty much where the Republicans are at this point. Yeah. And that's where, see, the Democrats and the liberals, they are the quickest to eat themselves.
Oh, yeah.
They devour themselves. The Republicans, my issue with them, and what I hope is a shift with them, is they're a bunch of pansies, man. They there's several kind of newer ones that are starting to actually step up and kind of have a voice and not just like Cocaine Mitch, man. That dude, like, he already has reached out
he's not turtly enough for the Turtley Club.
Dude,
okay? Like,
he already has reached out to Biden and is like, I think we can work together. Yeah. And it's like, man, he ain't even won. Like,
right.
Like, and that's...
Well, Mitch is only in it for the money, and I feel sorry for Kentucky that he is, representing them. There are some... I tell you what, I got a kick out of watching the impeachment hearings. Jim Jordan really, really impressed me.
I was going to say, I thought you were going to blast him and say, I kind of like Jim Jordan.
No, I do. I liked him. Jim Jordan was fantastic. And then
but he's one of the only realists.
There was another one. I think he was from Florida. I can't remember his name. God, it starts with a G. But dark-haired guy.
Yeah.
But he was really, I really enjoyed listening to him talk. And I mean, that's, that has to be, both parties have to move to the middle or neither party is going to survive. This division
it can't continue this way.
No, it can't. It's not sustainable at all without war.
Yeah. Without us literally killing the people that disagree.
Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. We joke around with our Hawaiian shirts and let's go boogaloo, but nobody wants that.
No.
I don't want to have to make the decision, am I going to kill another American over political ideology? No, I don't want to do that. Let's talk about it. We'll either come to an agreement or we'll not, but either way, you can come drink a beer with me on my patio, it doesn't need to come to that.
I told Marcy that the other night. I was like, because there's these people that are so, screaming ready for a civil war.
Yeah. No,
and I'm like,
you're not.
No, and that's what I was like. I have twins that are about to be 3 years old in February. I don't want to have to hug them and be like, I might not see you again.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to go and fight in this war against our own fellow countrymen. That are,
you remember that guy across the street? He didn't vote the same way that I did, so now I've got to go shoot him in the face. What? None of it makes sense, man.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm the same way. I've got a 9-month-old. It's just
the people that are wanting that haven't actually thought about it.
The people that are wanting that play way too much Call of Duty.
Yeah,
let's be real. Nobody wants that.
No,
nobody really wants that.
Well, and you think about it too. As a nation, the most vulnerable we'd be was when we would be battling each other.
Absolutely.
We got countries like Russia Russia and China, either one of them would love to just take over this country.
Move right in.
They'd be like, oh man, now's a perfect time. Yeah. And another thing I think about, and I talked to my dad's buddy that's in the military, and I asked him, I was like, what side would the military be on? And he was like, well, he said, you would have guys that would walk away, but he said at the end of the day, you take an oath to fight enemies foreign and domestic.
But you also take an oath to uphold the Constitution.
Yeah, but
so what if those two things are at odds with each other?
I don't know, but it would be interesting.
But and it's the same way, like we were talking about with law enforcement earlier. It's at what point, which way do you go?
Yeah. And
I don't want to test that. Because I can't buy an A-10 yet, or until I can, an Abrams tank, or even a small portable tactical nuclear device. I can't buy those yet. So at least let's get to the point where I can buy those before we start a civil war. So at least we'll be on a equal playing field.
Yeah.
But, yeah, nobody wants that, man. It's not feasible. It's not good for anyone.
No. I will say, if either of us was not on some list before this.
Oh, we definitely are.
I was going to say and we definitely aren't out, but let's be real. We both were on government lists long before.
Long before.
That's with my mother-in-law. She jokes all the time. I don't even know that she's joking anymore, but she's like, you're on a list.
Every now and then you have to log into like an airline and just try to buy a plane ticket just to see if you can still fly.
Yeah. Well, in that case, I can because I bought a plane ticket.
There you go.
I did have to cancel it shortly after.
You told me,
but I did successfully buy an air ticket.
Now, try go to get an international plane ticket.
Yeah, I've never done that.
Maybe see what happens there. We may not be allowed to go into other countries.
That might raise a few eyebrows.
They might radicalize us, or we might radicalize them. I don't know. However that works.
Oh, man. Well, Jacob, man, it's been fun. We've been talking a long time. I probably kept you a lot longer than you intended, but it's been good. And there's still, I could talk forever about it.
Oh, yeah, me too.
So, in closing, how do you get the word out there for the Libertarian Party? What do you do? Like, I would like to see a third party get to debate. What do people need to do? Is there nothing besides getting that 5%?
Well, so the 5%, and this is a conversation that I had with somebody just the other day, because they actually, it's crazy because people actually like message me on Facebook asking me questions because I guess I'm out of their friend group, I'm that guy. So
yeah.
They asked, why does the Libertarian focus so hard on the presidential race and not, smaller local, state races? And the biggest answer to that is because it's the one that gets the most attention.
Yeah.
We know we're not going to win. We know there's no chance. There's not a snowball's chance that we're going to win the presidential election.
Yeah.
But every 4 years, everybody knows who Gary Johnson is. Everybody knows who Ron Paul is.
Yeah. Everybody
now knows who Joe Jorgensen and Spike Cohen are. The presidential race is to get
the name out. Yeah.
And I think this year it succeeded way more than it did, 4 years ago. Yeah. We got a smaller percentage of the vote, but there were far more disillusioned and disenfranchised people out there this year who hated both choices and didn't want to choose. So they went seeking out somebody else. And so that's going to grow over the next 4 years. The biggest thing we've got to focus on is states. The states are the key to it all.
Yeah.
Tennessee literally uses laws from Jim Crow to keep the libertarians off the ballot.
Yeah.
Like, these are literally laws that were meant to keep black people from holding office in the state of Tennessee after the Civil War that are being used to keep the Libertarian Party off of the ballots. We had to, it was something like 52,000 signatures that we had to get for Joe to be on the ballot, and we had to do it door to door. And we had to mail them into the state. They all had to be validated, and it ends up you have to get at least 3 times that because the state's going to throw out 60% of them and call them not valid.
But y'all did get that?
Yeah, that's the only way she would have been on the ballot in Tennessee.
Yeah, but now hold on now. How does a guy like we laugh about him, Kanye, but how did he get on the ballot?
Well, you think about it. All Kanye's got to do is say, hey, I want to run for president. He's got that name recognition. Yeah. And it's easy for somebody like him.
So y'all need a celebrity to run as an
essentially, yeah.
You need Kurt Russell to run.
Kennedy.
Hey,
Kennedy.
Kurt Russell's a libertarian.
Oh, yeah. But that's the biggest thing is that. We've got to change it at the state level. And Tennessee actually elected, in the whole state this past election, there were 5 local races that actually elected libertarians to office in their cities and counties.
Oh, really?
So it's growing, but it's got to grow from the bottom up.
Yeah.
But we have to use that big race to draw people. It's like a light for the moths.
Yeah.
And, we bring them in. So really getting involved locally is where we all have to go. And we've actually, with this election, there's a pretty good network within the state of Tennessee now of social media pages
Really?
dedicated to the Libertarian Party in respective regions. So
Well, and it should have helped too. Like I told you, I mean, Joe Rogan said he voted for Joe Jorgensen.
I just wish Joe would have had her on his show. Like
Yeah.
he had the opportunity. I don't know why he didn't pull the trigger.
I don't either. I wish, and that's what he brings up a good point. Not to get off on a tangent as we close, but like, he tried to get Trump and Biden to come on his show, and he would moderate it, and it would be a long, like 3 or 4 hour long discussion.
Yeah.
Which is how a presidential election should be.
Oh yeah.
And that's what Joe has talked about, and I fully agree. These like 2-minute time frames you can't tell your solution to these things in 2 minutes. That's
we're a
bullcrap.
country of sound bites.
Yeah.
Like that's all. We don't research. We don't.
No, and that's
we
why
listen to sound bites and we read memes, and that's how we get our information.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's sad.
But I think
that's where
that's
we are.
why things like what we're doing here, what Joe does, I think that's why they're sparking up, because people are like, man, this stuff isn't working.
Yeah.
Like, I want the long discussion.
Yeah.
And that's what, it was funny. Trump agreed to do Jim Rogan's thing.
Oh, yeah.
Because he said Trump.
And I think Joe was, there was a big push to get Joe Jorgensen in with the two of them, too.
See, and I would like that, because I'll tell you, like myself personally, I'm probably a green Republican. Like I said, pro-life, traditional marriage, which traditional marriage is no longer in the Republican platform. They've given that up. Just like in
all honesty, they've given up on pro-life too, because they've had ample opportunity to do something about it, and they don't.
Well, and that's why, exactly like I said, the Republicans, I'd like to see the shift when they actually get some balls back, because the Democrats don't mind trying to implement laws and changes, and the Republicans are like, we don't want to ruffle any feathers, man.
Yeah, you got to.
And so that's where I want to see that shift. Like, would it piss people off? I don't care. I mean, if in my eyes, if I'm saving the lives there and that, then it's a worthy cause.
Yeah.
But crap! I got off on that. I don't even remember where I was going.
We were talking about Joe Rogan and debates and
yeah. So where I disalign with the Republicans on that is, all right, I'm a fan of state-owned, but when it comes to public land, the Republicans were pushing, some of them were pushing to sell or transfer ownership of like public lands from federal to state, which at first, in theory, sounded good. I was like, man, that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
State owned. But then, because I'm in because I'm a very passionate hunter.
Yeah.
I'm in like the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, all these things. And so I got to looking, because I was like, I wonder what their stance, because they put out a thing and kind of educate hunters on what would be good for us on public lands and things. And they changed my opinion on that, because you have these corporations like PETA and HSUS and these other animal rights groups that have celebrity backing, movie star backing, and they have essentially an unlimited budget.
Oh, yeah.
And that's one enemy. The other enemy is what they're facing in like Montana right now, is where you have like billionaire oil moguls that in Montana, the waterways are public land.
Yeah.
Like you can get in a boat or a canoe and go down the river and the like creeks and stuff, and you can go and you're in public land anywhere. They cross private land, but the waterways are considered public land. Well, there is rich guys that own the private land that want to make that section of waterway on their land part of their land, and so now if you like come across it in your kayak or canoe, they can prosecute you for trespassing. they want to own the waterway on the place as well. They're like,
well, maybe somebody should just in the middle of the night, like, go climb up the mountain, dynamite it, and reroute
divert the water. Yeah. Well, that's how, and so that's where they were talking about the government, the federal government has the funds and the resources to fight these groups.
Yeah.
So that's why they were like, you don't want to see it transfer, because there's been and they said historically when land transfers to state owned, it gets then eventually, and it's typically Republicans that are like, we need more money in the budget. So we're going to eliminate this unnecessary expense of public land. We're going to sell it off to a private auction, and then you have the billionaires buy it.
Their cousin and brother-in-law buys it. Yeah.
Yep. And so that's where there are things where the federal government needs to be involved, and that's one of them. And I don't want to see things happen that decimate the wildlife and water and stuff. That matters to me.
It should matter to all of us.
Yeah.
Whether we hunt or not. Those are things, and you're right. Like, that is one of the things where we need a broader, picture.
Yeah.
But, and that's
why we need a third party.
Yeah.
We need something else to come in there
and talk some sense into these other two.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, man, say something, and nothing else, it'll make people think.
Yeah.
Like, man.
And it'll bring the other two back to the middle, because otherwise they're not, going to get elected.
Yeah.
So the whole world's gone mad, essentially. But, we'll see.
Yeah. We're just along for the ride.
That's it. That's all we can do, man.
Well, Jacob, I appreciate you joining me, man. It's been fun.
Oh, man, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm sorry I've kept you for 2 hours.
I hope I didn't get you, kicked off the air and get you some FCC violations or anything. But
I'm all individual, man. I can say whatever I want to.
Lose you any followers. That's the big thing. No, we had a good time. I enjoyed it, man.
I did too. Yeah, thank you for coming on. If y'all want to see Jacob's rantings on Facebook, you can follow him at Jacob Chandler on Facebook.
That's me.
And
you can check out my
smithing.
My blacksmithing page. It's Chandler Forge. Do some little local blacksmithing there.
Is it just at Chandler Forge?
I think on Facebook it's actually at JC Blacksmith.
JC Blacksmith. Yeah, we didn't get into your blacksmithing.
Yeah, we didn't get into that. If you're local and you're listening and you're interested in blacksmithing, then come out. We have group meetings the second Sunday of every month. We a local blacksmithing group that me and a friend of mine started about 2 years ago now.
Y'all meet in person
we meet in person every month on the second Sunday. So message me, find out the details. But
do they have to be doing it, or can it be somebody that's just interested?
No, they can come and visit, and you do have to, since we are a actual nonprofit organization, we do have waivers and stuff that you have to sign before we can actually let you use our facilities. But if you're interested and want to come watch and see what it's all about, then you're more than welcome to come out.
Awesome.
And we're just a bunch of weirdos out here trying to keep the art of blacksmithing alive, and it's fun stuff.
Awesome.
We have a good time.
And you said JC Blacksmith?
JC Blacksmith, yeah.
All right, y'all check that out. And you can go out there. They'll teach you how to forge a machine gun.
Yes, you can. We can. No, we can't. We can't. Wait a minute.
Yes, no.
Just pokey stabby things, decorative stuff.
Yeah, just the William Wallace weapons.
Yeah.
So, all right, folks, thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please give it a like, give it a share, subscribe, and share with your friends. And once again, man, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me, man.
Awesome. Folks, hope y'all have a blessed day.